How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, the show where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today, in episode number 160 of Uncut, we're going to be discussing the Bears quarterback situation for what seems like the millionth time. How did Andy Dalton do in week one? If the Bears continue to use Justin Fields as a chess piece, will his reps continue to increase this season? And when should Fields be starting? We're going to be discussing all of that and breaking it all down today in this episode of Uncut. But before we get into it, I would like to say we're bringing you guys the most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web this season. If you haven't already, do us a favor, drop a like, subscribe, follow wherever you are listening. We're going to keep coming back with videos each and every day for the rest of the week, getting you guys ready for the Bears Week 2 matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals. I am your host, Chris Maltby, today to talk about this quarterback situation, the hot topic right now, and it's definitely not going to die down anytime soon. I am joined with my co-host, Parth Shaw. Parth, what's going on, my man?
Doing pretty good. I'm just a little busy, loaded with schoolwork, trying to get that done before the weekend. Got a busy weekend, got college football on Saturday, the NFL on Sunday, so just want to get all that out of the way so have a fun weekend to watch and do whatever I want.
Yeah, definitely a big weekend.
Yeah.
College football is obviously heating up, and that's all super exciting. And then the NFL, man. I mean, the Bears, we're not talking about the game specifically today, but to say they have an important game is an understatement. I think they absolutely have to win. So before we get into this one, talking about Justin Fields, the quarterback situation, let's quickly run by this message from our 2021-2022 season partners and today's sponsors, MyBookie. Guys, bet the football season with mybookie.ag. You can receive a 100% match on your first deposit up to $1,000. You can also get rewarded for choosing Bitcoin at MyBookie. They have a crypto rewards program that is designed to celebrate cryptocurrency players. Choosing to play with this option means bigger bonuses, faster payouts, and zero fees. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie.ag. And do not forget to use the promo code BD when creating your account to claim this bonus to support the show. Once again, mybookie.ag. The link is at the top of the description. You can support the show by using promo code BD. Make it a winning season today at mybookie.ag. Now let's get right back into the podcast. Parth, a big one today, a lot to talk about. The quarterback situation continues to heat up in Chicago. I feel like in the national media right now, there's a lot of pressure to start Justin Fields. A lot of people also saying they thought Andy Dalton was fine in week one. So let's start there. I mean, before we get into anything with week two and Justin Fields being this chess piece and such, and we saw a little bit of him in special packages, let's just start with Andy Dalton, obviously the person who came out and trotted on the field under center for the Chicago Bears in week one. How did you think he played in week one personally? Yeah. What do you think you saw out of Dalton in week one? Anything redeeming?
Right after the post-game show, I said that, Dalton played better than Foles and Trubisky. And I'm going to stand by that still. I thought Dalton was serviceable. He isn't a horrible quarterback at the end of the day. He did what he could do. I felt like he did what the defense offered him. We didn't take any shots, obviously, so we didn't see him throw the ball deep at all. So that factored in a lot of things. The run game was going, which was good. That definitely could have helped him out. I felt like the Bears could have used the play action to their favor a little bit more, but we didn't do that. Obviously, he was a little bit rusty. He was rusty in preseason, and that definitely carried over. There isn't much to say. It definitely sucked to see him throw that interception in the red zone in the beginning of the game. Thought we had some good momentum going, and it basically killed the drive. He did, I think, get strip sacked as well. There are things about Dalton. He won't be able to move around in the pocket as well as Trubisky or Foles. But the thing about him is he does make some good throws in some tight spaces, and we did see that, especially on some short throws to, I think it was Cole Kmet. Allen Robinson also, ran a bunch of short throws short routes as well, so he wasn't able to find Robinson deep at all. I'd like to see them, work it out this week and hopefully hit a deep ball or something. But other than that, I thought he was solid. You really can't say much. It was his first game on the team. I'm not gonna be an Andy Dalton hater on this podcast. I never wanted to be one. I respect the guy, what he's doing. It's not an easy situation for what he's playing in. When Justin Fields or any rookie quarterback is behind you and all the fans are excited to see him, it's not a fun situation to be in his spot. Also, he expects some cheers this week. It's a home game, but I was just gonna say it's gonna be a lot of boo birds, I bet.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the offense does in week 2 against the Bengals. Definitely should have a chance to step up against a weaker secondary that's going to be missing Trey Waynes for the second straight week. But, in terms of Andy Dalton, I feel like you know what you're going to get out of him week to week.
Yeah.
He's someone who can be an all right, as you said, serviceable game manager from time to time. And I was pretty happy that before garbage time came around, sorry for wiping my nose, I'm still getting over whatever this crappy flu or cold I have is in my system. But I was happy that the offense was able to get the ball past the midfield into Rams territory every drive before garbage time came around. But, we saw the turnovers that you thought you were going to see out of Andy Dalton too. He threw one ball past 15 yards in the air on the night, and it was his interception. He was 27 for 38, 206 yards, one fumble, one interception, sacked 3 times for a loss of 28 yards, QB rating of 34.9 and a passer rating of 72.9. So not the greatest overall. I'm not entirely sure that the Bears are going to be able to win games with Andy Dalton. I mean, obviously, Dalton's not a quarterback that's going to come in and probably be able to win you a wealth of playoff games. He's never won a playoff game in his career after leading the Bengals there 4 or 5 years in a row. So Andy Dalton, I don't think is going to progress this team very far, but I keep going back to the word fine. I think he was fine. The Bears' offensive line was fine. They could have done him some more due justice, but Larry Borum as well as Jason Peters went down, so that wasn't great to see. But I think Andy Dalton was fine in week 1. But now let's get into the interesting stuff if we're being completely honest. Earlier today in his press conference, Matt Nagy came out and said that Justin Fields was an interesting chess piece for the Bears to use. A lot of comparisons have been coming out today that Matt Nagy's trying to use Justin Fields like a Taysom Hill or something like that. But Parth, I mean, obviously Dalton's going to be the week 2 starter. And if the Bears continue to use Justin Fields off the bench as his chess piece, do you think he should get more reps? I believe he played 5 snaps in last week's game, 2 for 2, 10 passing yards, and 87.5 QB rating. Almost 6 times the amount of fantasy points that Aaron Rodgers had, for what it's worth. But if the Bears do continue to use Fields off the bench, do you think he should get more reps and more opportunities to show what he's got in these special packages?
I mean, you got to use him at least 5 times a game. I don't know how much more you can use him. I feel like that would disrupt the flow of Andy Dalton. It's kind of hard to keep, pulling Andy Dalton out of the game and, using Justin, because Dalton definitely needs those reps.
We saw the Miami Dolphins be pretty successful with it a year ago.
Yeah, that is true. It just depends on Andy if he's ready to commit to that. It's a lot of things you can do, but you can also just make Justin the full-time starter, and you don't have to use him as a chess piece. But, we'll talk about that. But I like Justin. I obviously want to see him as a chess piece. It just makes the game so much more interesting. I'm just like, oh, my God, Justin Fields is on the field. All right, something crazy is about to happen. And it basically does. I mean, he ran in for a touchdown. He got his first Bears touchdown before Andy Dalton did. He scored before the whole entire Packers offense did last week. So, just excited to see Fields, obviously. I hope the Bears use him as a chess piece again. His reps should increase, especially in the red zone. I think the red zone's a great place to use Fields. I think he opens up the field, creates some more spaces and stuff, and makes it easier for the offense to score.
Yeah, I mean, on one of the plays, I believe it was a pitch to Marquise Godwin a couple of nights ago. Justin Fields was on the field and made that play, and he drew the defense off so much just from running, and they didn't know whether or not he had the ball. I just think he creates such an attraction to defenses that it's good that you get him out there. Obviously, I think Parth and I can agree on this. We don't want Justin Fields just to be the chess piece. We want him to become the starter, and we'll talk about that before this episode ends. But I do think his reps should increase against a team like the Bengals. And the red zone's a great spot to use him, Parth. I like that you bring that up. Taking a look at the Bengals secondary, they have Chidobe Awuzie and Eli Apple starting this week. Trey Waynes was sidelined for the game last week and is expected to be out again week 2. Awuzie allowed 6 receptions for 83 yards. Apple allowed 7 for 79 and a touchdown. Their slot corner, who's actually a quality slot corner, Mike Hilton, allowed 7 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. I think overall the Bears should have some more success this week through the air, but bringing in Justin Fields also just to be someone who can take the attention off of his receivers and possibly find open receivers or scramble for touchdowns. I think that's really important. Especially in a must-win game when the Bears really need to put up points if they don't want to start off on a worse foot in this season than they already have. So I do believe that if they continue to use Fields like this, they've got to give him more plays. I want to see more of him. Bears fans want to see more of him. I don't think Matt Nagy's that boneheaded. I don't know why they have to fulfill this
Matt
promise.
Nagy wants to see more of him too. I mean, I
don't know. I heard Nick Wright talking about it. Why do you have to fulfill this promise to Andy Dalton if Justin Fields is playing better? But overall, I do think we need to see more of Fields.
The promise has been fulfilled. He started his game. I think that's all that was.
Yeah, but I do think we do need to see more of Fields. I think the Bears offense, hopefully this week, at least the passing game can get more clicking against the Cincinnati secondary that struggled a little bit last week. But you've got to use Justin Fields. His speed he's the dual threat quarterback that we all know he is, and he was in week 1. He takes attention off the defense. He can scramble and score. He can hit the throws accurately. So hopefully that can continue in week 2. And eventually, as we get into this topic, we can see him as starter. Parth, obviously, this is the burning questions on everyone's mind. The promise, I guess, that was apparently made to Andy Dalton has been fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
I had a source, and I'll tell you who it was after the show, text me earlier today that he thinks we don't see Justin Fields until week 5 or 6. But assuming that things continue to go downhill for the Bears offense or continue trending like they did in week 1, Dalton's going to continue to fail and struggle and turn the ball over. Not essentially saying that 100% of that is his fault. The Bears offensive line is in shambles right now a little bit and is already weak as is. The only thing the Bears really have going offensively right now is the running game, but I just mentioned it, Parth. Fields brings that dual threat, that spark to this offense. We saw the players so happy to see him score a touchdown just a couple of nights ago. After seeing Dalton play in week 1, are you still holding ground on your prediction for when Fields should start? When do you think that the Bears will eventually turn to Justin Fields here?
I'm still going to ride with week 4. It's tough. I really want to see him play this game. I feel like if the Bears are down a big at halftime, you could see Fields come in, but it's going to be hard, especially because this is Andy Dalton's revenge game. He's back in Cincinnati looking for some revenge, hopefully to beat his former team.
Cincinnati. This is a home game, buddy.
That's not what I meant. Yeah, he's back against.
He's
Cincinnati.
back facing Cincinnati, yes.
Yeah,
but then again, like what Nick Wright said, I don't think you owe it to him to play this game whatsoever.
No, you don't. You really don't owe Andy Dalton anything because he was not.
You're already paying him $10 million.
And he wasn't on this team before the season, so I don't think you owe the man anything. You treat him the same way you treat Justin Fields because they both are new quarterbacks. But I think he should start this week. Personally, if I was the head coach of the Bears, or if basically 99.9% of this population of the earth was, I think they'd start Justin Fields as well. But we got Matt Nagy, who thinks he's a smart, but whatever. He can do what he wants. Obviously, he's the head coach. But I do expect to see Justin Fields very soon. I don't think Andy Dalton can lead this team to more than 5 wins, especially with this schedule. And this defense is not as good as we think. So we do need Fields to be on the field, score some points, move the ball, just cause some excitement and just be fun to watch the game as well. Because it's not fun to watch Andy Dalton be the starter. It's like watching the same 10 quarterbacks we've had start for
I'm not trying to. It's like been watching the same absolute crap that we've been watching like the past 7 years. Yeah, I think when the Bears drafted Fields, there was a lot of hype because he was going to possibly be the best franchise quarterback that the Bears have had since Sid Luckman, way back when, before we were born, before our parents were born, before anyone was born. It seems like it's been that long. But if I'm the Bears, I think they should name Fields the starter right when we hang up this podcast. I think they should name him the starter in 20 seconds. I don't
They just
understand
didn't.
why it hasn't. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. Matt Nagy knows that if this team doesn't do well, which it's not looking like they're going to do that great with Dalton, his job could be on the line. So I really don't understand the logic. I don't know if there is any logic there. I don't know why you have to fulfill the promise to Dalton. You're paying him $10 million and he can just sit on the bench and collect his paycheck right next to Nick Foles, who's getting paid $9 million. But you have to put out there who gives the Chicago Bears the best chance to win. And everyone on the face of this earth, except for Matt Nagy, I'm sure there's even people in this Bears franchise, including the players who know this. Everyone on the face of this earth knows that Justin Fields is the one that gives the Bears the best chance to win. He's the dual threat quarterback. He takes attention off the defense. He has the arm. He's not afraid to take shots. You can open up the playbook more with Fields on the field. It just does not make any sense to me that we don't see Fields yet. And once again, for those who want him to sit and wait and, the offensive line isn't great. The offensive line isn't going to be great for any quarterback that you put there behind center. You could throw Nick Foles out there. You could throw Mitchell Trubisky out there. You could throw Josh McCown out there. You could throw Jay Cutler out there. They were all going to have problems with this offensive line, any previous Bears quarterback. So the advantage to Fields is that he can at least scramble and is good at avoiding pressure and has good pocket presence. He knows when people are around him and is able to extend and create plays. But I think you need to get him out there as soon as possible. Realistically, I'm going to agree with you, Parth. I think it's week 4, but obviously that's not what I would like to see. I'd like to see him playing as soon as possible. And it's a little bit frustrating, especially if the Bears lose this week. I think they have a fighter's chance, and this week they're a 2.5-point favorite. But I just do not like Andy Dalton being out there. Even if the Bears win this one, I still think it should be Justin Fields. And I think his time is coming, man. It's going to be a tough first maybe month to month and a half of football in Chicago. But if we didn't see Fields by week 6 as the starting quarterback, especially with another tough test coming in week 3 with Cleveland, that I wouldn't say is a guaranteed loss, but it's going to be a darn hard game. I think all signs point to Fields coming in here eventually. So if you guys are listening in on YouTube, do us a favor, head down to the comments. Let us know when you guys think Andy Dalton should be benched and Justin Fields should be brought in as the starter for the Chicago Bears. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode number 160 of Uncut. Before you go, if you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, subscribe. Give us a follow. We're going to keep bringing you guys the most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web each and every day. That's how we like to differentiate ourselves. If you'd like more content from us and the people that we work with, head over to our website. I believe it's the 3rd or 4th line in the description. Head over to beareddown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs to get you guys ready for the Bears week 2 matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals, and also talking Justin Fields, when his time is going to come, and much more. There's a lot of people that work hard for us behind the scenes, so head over to our website and check that stuff out. If you'd like to enter giveaways that we have, we try and do them every other month during the season. See sneak peeks of guests that we're going to have on the show, and I promise they're coming back. I keep saying that. We have a lot of people that we want to line up. We're just super busy and have to coordinate that in advance and record at weird times for us. But if you want to see guests that we're going to have on the show and also interact with us, let us know what you want to see us talk about here on the podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Beared Down. The podcast, that is, on Instagram and Twitter, once again, at Beared Down. And finally, you can find the links to all of our personal social media pages down in the description, myself as well as Parth. It's another great way to interact with us, and you can see our thoughts on all things Bears, the National Football League, and the entirety of Chicago sports. Just another great way to interact with us. We've been hustling on Twitter all offseason, so be sure to go check us out. The links to our social media pages, once again, down in the description. Parth Shaw, feels good to kind of be kicking this cold or whatever I have. Thursday Night Football tonight. Who you got?
Who's playing? Giants, Reds.
Washington football team. Whoa, not the Redskins. Whoa. Yeah.
I forget.
Taylor Hinkney back and starting. Hinkney.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the football team. My roommate's a big Giants fan though, so I know he's gonna be all over the Giants for this one. I just feel like Antonio Gibson is gonna have a big game. Especially for fantasy standards, because I got him in a couple leagues, so that would be nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the football team as well. I mean, Hinkney maybe should have been starting for them since week
Heineke, it's
one.
Heineke, it's
Heineke,
Heineke.
my bad.
Yeah,
I also keep getting grilled for saying Marquise Goodwin's name
Ye-
wrong because I am so used to saying Chris Godwin
Chris Godwin.
that I always
Yeah,
say Marquise Godwin, but it's Goodwin. Anyways, Hinkney could have been starting from the beginning. I do like Antonio Gibson, like you. I like the weapons they have on offense. They've got a pretty good defense. I mean, they shut down Justin Herbert for the
hmm
most part last week. The only two reliable ball catchers for the Giants are Sterling Shepard and Kenny Galladay. I thought Darius Slayton was going to be a better weapon, and obviously 1 week is a small sample size, but the Giants, I think, currently have the worst ranked offensive line in the league,
I'm excited to watch
and
Saquon though.
the football team led by Chase Young, um, has the
Montez
best
Sweat.
ranked. Yeah, they have
Yeah,
the best
this
ranked defensive
he's,
line in the
he's,
league.
he's
So I think Daniel Jones is going to be running all night, and I don't think
Again, he
Saquon's going to get it
fumbles. We're
going.
about to see a couple fumbles.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
some turnovers. Definitely some
but
turnovers.
no, you're right. This not Redskins football team defense is very good. If I was a
Flashes of the 2018 Bears for sure. I mean,
yeah
not to mention Kendall Fuller, one of the best slot corners in the league, playing for them. But Saquon didn't get it going last week either. I believe
mm-mm.
11 carries for 27 yards. I don't know if that's him just being rusty after not playing for almost a year in real speed games, but I definitely think the football team's going to win this one, and I think Hickney's going to surprise some people. And maybe look out for Cam Newton to return there soon with Ron Rivera. Obviously, with Ryan Fitzpatrick being on IR. That was a lot of analysis for a game that just does not matter anything to what we talk about normally on this show. But guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Week 2 of football is here and back. My name is Chris Malpe, and Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.